Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative Headline News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago, workers of the National Program for the Upkeep of Public Spaces are demanding their pay after working for several fortnights without compensation. You would swear PNM still in office, because it's under the mighty morphine Ghanaian coal pot bicycle, no harm, no macaroni pie, whole strain tight near Bell PNM. Employees had to be saying, we're not getting paid, we need our pay, we need our pay. You would swear we're still under PNM and yet is UNC in office. My Lord. Speaking with Guardian Media in St. James yesterday, NPUPS employee Mary Ramutal said, mounting bills and the lack of information on top of not being paid is troubling. The lack of communication, people. Once again, that was an issue that had with the PNM. Why is that happening under the UNC now? Telling you UNC going rogue with tyrant cams. She added that the lack of payment is making the government look bad. Of course it is. Of course it is. Why bother to hire people if you don't have the funds? And if you have the funds, why taking so long? I said that excuses they're making just like PNM. In a WhatsApp response to Guardian Media yesterday, Minister of Rural Development and Local Government Khadija Amin said the issue stemmed from an administrative error, but did not specify. Khadija, you used to be a really wonderful MP in the past and stuff like that. Really hard-working individual. Why does now you songing just like the PNM too? Would you have accepted that excuse if you were still in opposition, Khadija Amin? Would you? I don't think so. I've been in touch with workers on WhatsApp even while I was out of the country and in another time zone. Up to this morning, workers reached out to me. We are working to fix it. You're going away and you didn't make sure to put things in place where people could get their pay, Khadija. We have identified the issue, which is no fault of the workers. No, it is all your fault. Not the workers' fault, of course. You are right about that. We are working to, right, they have been performing very well. Yeah, very, very well. The government is not performing that well, though. However, Rabutal is not the only NPUPS worker complaining. Another employee who did not want to be identified said they were hired to clean the drains off the highway and have been without payments. I've been hearing it as well, all on TikTok. I believe Jason De Silva, a well-known activist, has been raising that issue as well. People are not getting paid. They hire people to do a job. You didn't even expand it to the extent which should have been expanded, where they're coming and actually cleaning and maintaining the communities as well. Our communities are being neglected because you did not hire enough people to perform the duties that CPEP workers used to do in the past. Right? You only said in main roads and drains and whatsoever on the main roads and whatever. They're already doing mess like that and now people are getting paid. We used to get paid fortnightly, but now we're getting paid monthly. Some people get paid recently, but not all of us, the person said. We need the jobs, so we don't want to complain too much. But we need our monies, of course. How much longer you could continue working without getting paid? Some people get double salaries after missing a fortnight, but they still have money owing, the worker said. Yes. Well, you remember these people and these politicians, like they just forget what it is to be poor. They forget. People are to borrow money, money lender, and then money lenders. It's high interest. So when it is they have to come now and take their salary and go and pay off these money lenders, now they're back to square one, They have to borrow again. NPUPS started as a pilot program that ran for 13 weeks from December 15th, 2025 to March 13th, 2026. The program replaced the Community-Based Environmental Protection and Enhancement Program, CPEP, which was scrapped under criticism that it was littered with corruption. I was recommending to scrap it and URP as well, because of course it was corrupted and it was waste of money to have to be paying contractors to be doing a job that the ministry should be doing for itself, the Ministry of Work should be doing for itself. So I recommended it. I'm not saying that they took my recommendation, but I said that I recommended it. But I also made it clear that every legitimate worker that lost their jobs under URP and CPEP should have been given back their jobs under the new program. The program was later expanded across all 14 municipal corporations and employs some 1,600 workers to maintain regional recreational grounds and public spaces. You see, they always study and it's just the public spaces and the recreational grounds and stuff like that, the main roads. What about our communities? What about Lindsay Street? What about Guild Street in here in Sangre Grande? What about everywhere else? Baker Trace and so forth. CPEP and Europe, well, CPEP really, not really that Europe. Europe used to be more, most of the times used to be more like on the main roads and stuff. But CPEP used to be cleaning these areas. Now, of course, that was before CPEP actually became extremely corrupt and rogue, because in my area of Lindsay Street, they used to walk up to Guild Street and never come into Lindsay Street for about 2 years. So they had stopped in any case. But that's why all that corruption needed to end. But nevertheless, Kamala and team, CPEP served a very important purpose, maintaining the roadways and the drains in communities as well. Ramutal said NP UPS workers are tired of the runaround. She said some workers had to borrow money to get to work, and each time they requested their payment, they are given different stories as to why they can't be paid. You see? Only excuse after excuse now, just like PNM. She added that while she is not afraid of being victimized, she just wants to be paid a fair day's pay for having done a fair day's work, and rightfully so. You know, the UNC hypocrites who are sitting in their mansions, listening to Kuch Kuch Hotahe and drinking the puncheon and white oak. They will say, oh, these people are them, oh, they're ungrateful, and they're this and they're that, and them is PNM people. PNM people, why? Because they simply want to get paid for doing their job. My response, this fake UNC government is truly a disgrace to Pandey's original party and our country. Only now I realizing that Kamala started to really destroy this man's party since she became political leader, you know. Because even in 2011, as much as she did a lot of good, there were mistakes that were made. She said she admitted she made mistakes, you know, but now coming and even making worse mistakes now. Like the 2011 limited state of emergency, cost up to now costing the state tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars in compensation to victims. And a lot of different mistakes that they made as well. They did good. I ain't lying to tell you that. They did good in 2010 to 2015. But errors that were made, it shows that there were signs. You know how like investigation discovery has a show? Evil is here, and they said there were signs showing how evil people were. Well, yes, there were signs, and people were raising alarm. We were raising alarm, including Pandey. But Pandey, as he got older, was opposing for opposing's sake as well. There were things that he should have commended the government for doing that he didn't. And that was just because he was just vexed that he was removed from his leadership role. And in a bad way too, Kamala did it the wrong way too, you know, since Kamala actually removed Pandey from his leadership role. She did it the wrong way, you know. She did not show respect for the man the way she should have. So we should have realized something was a bit off with Kamala since then. But now as she has gotten older, woo! True colors shining through, definitely shining through now. Trinis voted out the Mighty Morphin Ghana Yam Cold Pot Bicycle PNM. No ham, no macaroni pie, whole strain, tighten your belt PNM. Because they believe that CAMS would restore prosperity in TNT. But instead, government workers are still losing their jobs and are unable to receive their salaries on time, people. When will this so-called administrative error be corrected? Khadija, can you tell us that? When will this administrative error, or like the PNM like to call it a glitch, when will this glitch be corrected? Please tell us.
Weather report for Trinidad and Tobago on Wednesday, July 22, 2026. On Wednesday, July 22, 2026, Trinidad and Tobago will experience mostly sunny, hazy, and at times breezy conditions shifting into partly cloudy skies with a few showers and a 60% medium chance of isolated afternoon thunderstorms. The official public update from the Trinidad and Tobago Meteorological Service indicates that a moderate concentration of Saharan dust is present in the atmosphere, so individuals sensitive to air quality changes should take necessary precautions. Daytime maximum temperatures are expected to reach around 31 degrees Celsius with an overnight minimum dropping to 25 degrees Celsius. The heat index is projected to feel like 34 degrees Celsius during peak hours. Humidity levels will fluctuate between 65% to 90% throughout the day. Winds will blow from the east to southeast at speeds of 5 to 35 kilometers per hour. Seas are forecast to be slight to moderate, with open water waves reaching 1.0 meters to 1.5 meters and waves under 1.0 meters in sheltered areas.
Regional news now. Haiti's Foreign Affairs Minister, Reina Forbin, on Monday said her country needs free, credible, inclusive, and above all, participatory elections. If you're a minister, it does not mean that your government should be the one that ensuring that there are free and fair elections. But anyhow, as she urged the international community not to abandon the French-speaking Caribbean country in its time of need. I mean, at the end of the day, well, I guess, we probably can't conduct these free and fair elections without the intervention of the international bodies because of the extremely dangerous criminal gangs in that country. The last time Haitians voted someone into power was 2016 people. That is ridiculous. That's 10 years. Former President Jovenel Moise was assassinated in July 2021. Time does really fly, but I can remember that just happened just like the other day, boy. My goodness, boy, time really does fly. And since then, armed gangs have seized control of almost the entire capital, Port-au-Prince, as well as large swaths of rural areas. Addressing the United Nations Security Council, Forbin said elections that restore trust, strengthen democratic legitimacy, and pave the way to lasting peace and stability must be encouraged. Yeah, well, they don't like the white man to come into other countries to do anything. So then what you're asking anybody to come and help for? I talk about Caribbean people in general. You don't want the white man help. Well, all right. Well, then try and figure it out on your own. Not working out for you all, eh? She said the development of the gang suppression force in the 3 remaining departments is absolutely vital to guarantee that every Haitian citizen can exercise his or her fundamental rights to choose leaders freely and without impediments. She told the council that the children of Haiti are the first to be hard hit by the security and humanitarian crisis facing the country, and it is for their benefit that we should work together so as to restore security in a lasting fashion so that they could grow up in peace, access education, and build a future that they deserve. She expressed support for CARICOM's statement made at the UN Security Council, saying that she wanted to send a message of hope both to our international partners and the people of Haiti. Forbin said the international community is faced with a choice: lock in the momentum Haiti has achieved thanks to considerable efforts, or risk seeing years of collective efforts compromised at the very moment when Haiti is closer than it has ever been to restoring security and holding elections. She said supporting security means standing side by side with Haiti. Well, then you have to allow the white man to come and help you. Stop crying down the same white man whose help you actually need. International news now. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu derided recent comments from New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani, a radical jihadist, anti-Semite, and anti-Zionist, in which he called Netanyahu a war criminal who belongs in The Hague. How come Mamdani doesn't tell Hamas to stop trying to seek to utterly wipe out Israel from off of the map? And Mamdani, how come you don't tell all the radical jihadists in Congo and Nigeria and Sudan to stop killing Christians by the hundreds and thousands? Prime Minister Netanyahu called the International Criminal Court in The Hague a kangaroo court that has no jurisdiction over American or Israelis in a statement released by the Prime Minister's office. Well said, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Mamdani, who took office in January, I can't believe New Yorkers did that. You had so many other radical leftists to vote for. You vote for jihadists? You're going from bad to worse? You don't stop voting for Republicans years now. Now you're voting for jihadists. So Mamdani, who took office in January, has repeatedly stated that he would seek to arrest Prime Minister Netanyahu if he came to New York City. In his recent interview on the New York Times podcast, Mamdani advocated trying trying Prime Minister Netanyahu before the International Criminal Court, noting that he had already been charged there. Try that, Ma'am Danny. If you don't end up being the one arrested. The Israeli and Lebanese military confirmed the start of the pilot program under the Beirut-Jerusalem Agreement on Monday, which will see local withdrawals of Israeli troops from areas in southern Lebanon, while Lebanese soldiers will replace them. I hope you don't withdraw completely into Israel. I hope that deal wasn't really that, I mean, come on, do you really believe that these Lebanese soldiers could be able to take control of the Hezbollah terrorists? They could not do it on their own. You all needed to step in. I don't like what's going on. Trust me, I don't like what's going on there. As part of the tripartite agreement mediated by the U.S. always coming up with these foolish plans. The pilot program is meant to ensure that the Lebanese armed forces continues the IDF's work in locating and dismantling Hezbollah infrastructure while preventing the return of the terror group to these areas. It's only the IDF can perform that. Only. I think even Amir Safati has made that statement quite clear in the past. I could be wrong, but I don't think he will agree with what's taking place here either. They needed to eliminate, totally destroy Hezbollah before leaving Lebanon. Israel doesn't want Lebanon. The IDF announced that the pilot began in cooperation with the U.S. military CENTCOM and the Lebanese armed forces. The LAF confirmed Monday morning that its troops had begun entering the town of Zota al-Garbia after the withdrawal of Israeli troops from there. It also renewed its call to the local residents not to return to their homes until the security situation stabilizes. And your security forces, your army, really thinks that they could do that. You really think that they could fight against Hezbollah terrorists? Time alone will tell it, though. Time alone will tell.
Bible quote of the day. Psalm 84, 9-11. God's favor, presence and protection. Look on our shield, O God, look with favor on your anointed one. Better is one day in your courts than 1,000 elsewhere. I would rather be a doorkeeper in the house of my God than dwell in the tents of the wicked. For the Lord God is a sun and shield, the Lord bestows favor and honor, no good thing does he withhold from those whose walk is blameless.
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's headline news. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe most of all. In Jesus' name.